Our today's topic for discussion is the primary market. The primary market is that segment of the capital market where companies can sell securities directly to the public and public in turn get opportunity to buy shares directly from the issuing companies. Therefore, primary market is a first-hand market for shares and other kinds of securities. When a private company approaches capital market for the first time ever to raise capital, such activity of the company is called initial public offer or IPO. In contrast to this, when a company goes to capital market for the second time or following its initial public offer for raising capital from public, such an activity that time is called follow-up public offer or FPO. So, what exactly is an IPO? An IPO is a process by which a private company offers its shares of stock for sale to general public. This process is also called going public. The process of IPO involves a set of certain vital steps like structuring of a firm's shares for sale, selecting various intermediaries, and entering into agreements with them, and also creating regulatory compliance that is aimed at more financial disclosures and transparency. The purpose of this entire rigorous process for a public offer is to protect the investor public from purchase of shares in fraudulent companies. So let's begin our journey towards understanding how does a company rake in or collect capital through an IPO. In other words, we need to know what are the main steps that should be followed for a public offer or an IPO. Before we begin to understand the process of IPO, I want to tell you an interesting story of a Chinese man who started his career as an English language trainer, but today he figures among the top acclaimed and successful entrepreneurs of the world. This is a man that hails from a place in China called Hangzhou. Today, he is considered as one of the richest men not only in China but in the entire world. As per reports, the present net worth of this individual has been about a whooping amount of 60 billion US dollars. Now let's go through his story. It was early 90s when internet had just started to make its roadways into mainland China. At that time, this man started a small internet-based yellow page advertising business along with few of his fellow associates. Today, his business has become a global brand competing at par with American mega e-commerce giant Amazon. 20 years back, this man and his 18 associates had used their pocket money to finance their startup. Then their startup kept growing slowly, and soon they understood it cannot raise funds locally from the Chinese market because Chinese market, unlike many other global markets, had not opened up yet. The businesses in China were still depending on government patronage for their funding and therefore for their overall success. So this man and his associates decided to go far across many countries to USA to struggle with the competitors so as to promote their brand, and finally after so much of vigorous efforts they could make their entry to the IPO market. In 2014, this company successfully launched their IPO on the New York Stock Exchange. Today, it's world's one of the largest e-commerce groups. So, did you get any hint about this man that's being mentioned in the story that was just narrated to you? I mean, what is this firm called and who is the man that founded this firm? If you could not get it by now, I'll surely let you know. But for that, you will have to wait till the end of today's session. All right? So let's keep this as a surprise. Now let's come back to our topic of discussion, which is understanding process of the primary market. We use a very simple illustration to begin with. Imagine that you run some business that has grown up to a certain extent. Just think of some online digital startup that you had started few years back to sell various local agro-based products like dry fruits, fruit jams and juices, saffron, honey, spices, dried vegetables, and cricket bats, etc. Now you aspire to expand, if not globally, but at least to the pan-India level. To expand, you may need to augment your product base to cater to a huge population of potential customers. All this may call for enhancement of your present infrastructure and assets, which would in turn require more capital funds. Now to get capital, you can explore your previous funding options like banks, angel investors, or else venture capitalists. But this time you may feel that bank is not a good idea. Now you turn to venture capitalists, but they are not impressed by your ideas. Hence, they reject your proposal. What do you do now? Maybe you think of going to public, but that would involve a hectic exercise on part of you and all other promoters or stakeholders in your business. With this story, we have set the stage for our today's discussion on understanding of how to go public or launch an IPO. So let's go through this interesting experience of learning the process of selling capital through an IPO, right? Before we examine process of the IPO, we need to hold for a while, and meanwhile we ask ourselves a question. The question is, why do companies go for IPO? Well, the answer obviously is they opt for IPO just to get capital. But there are other reasons also as to why companies prefer to go for an IPO. The first reason that would drive desire of a company to choose IPO route is that the company may be interested to diversify its ownership base. That is, the IPO making company may be interested in diversifying the risk of the business across large number of prospective investors. The IPO would enable a company wider participation by allowing even small investors to participate in the business by contributing capital to it. The second reason, as already said, would be to raise capital for meeting various capital expenditures like expansion and diversification, which means a company would like to grow its business by setting up new factories or shops and by diversifying to new or different sectors. The companies can achieve these objectives by having additional capital, which may be possible by floating IPO in the market. That's by selling new shares to the public. The third reason is debt repayment. What does that mean? In their initial stages, some businesses borrow a lot of loans from banks to expand their business. Later on, when their businesses are doing well, they would like to reduce some of their debt liabilities through funds obtained from an IPO. Now, what's the advantage of repaying debt? The company that reduces its debt liabilities by going public can get rid of fixed interest payments which a company otherwise needs to pay on outstanding debt. The fourth reason that drives companies to go for an IPO is that an IPO can act as exit route for existing investors to sell off or redeem their stake in the business. Now, what does this mean? It means that a new company often gets capital either from its promoters or venture capitalists when it has just started up. Now, these initial investors would at a later stage like to have an option to exit from the business. Therefore, a company can go into IPO, raise some capital, and use those funds to retire or pay the claims of these initial or existing shareholders. The next reason listed for IPO is increased liquidity to equity holders. We know that by going successfully through an IPO, a company can get the privilege of having its shares listed on a recognized stock exchange. When a company is listed on the stock exchange, all shareholders, whether existing or new, get the facility of trading their shares that they might be holding in the company at the stock exchange. Such a facility serves as another exit route to the investors if they wish not to have investment in the company they are having their stake in. Finally, IPO enables a company to establish its value in the market and also gain exposure, prestige, and public image. This is because whenever shares of a company are listed on the exchange, they get continuously priced as trades in the share occur. The price information can be used by investors to know value of the company. When price of share goes up, the value of the company, which is represented by price per share and the number of shares outstanding, also goes up. By this, companies get a feeling that they grow larger in terms of market valuations, and shareholders also feel to have become wealthier as they hold a share in such a growing company. Well, this is very exciting, but it can have reverse effect as well, particularly when market falls down. This time, market valuations may tumble, and that would adversely affect investors' wealth as well. So these are the reasons why companies do IPOs, or we can say these are the benefits of doing IPOs for the companies. IPO can be used as IPO can be used both as a financing strategy and as an exit strategy. In a financing strategy, the main purpose of IPO is to enable a company to raise funds. However, exit strategy may be used to offload equity holdings of existing shareholders in the market through a public issue. Now, to understand exit strategy, imagine there is an individual who had started some business in past, and now that business has now grown up to an enormous scale. Then the sole owner or promoter of this business dies suddenly, leaving his empire as a legacy to his five children. After death of their father, some of the children do not want to run their family business. They want to sell their stake that they are holding in this business. Now, what do they need to do? If you do not have any idea, I may tell you that the owners of this business would now need to find some investor who is willing to buy their offer. This could be possible if owners are able to get their company listed on a stock exchange so that they can sell their stake comfortably to some interested investor in the open market. But this would obviously require these owners to get into an IPO process and learn various procedures involved in it so that they are finally in a position to launch an IPO. Now let's try to understand process of IPO. That's what does a company that wants to raise capital by IPO route need to do. Here are end-to-end steps to the IPO process. If you look at the screen, you can easily figure out that the process of IPO is spread across 7 steps. To know comprehensively how a company can go through the IPO, we need to examine one by one all these steps that are essentially to carry out an IPO. So let's begin this activity. One more thing, while we look at IPO process as a whole, it should be understood that at least 4 to 6 months may be generally needed for an IPO process to reach a meaningful outcome. The first thing that an IPO offering company has to do after its management would have unanimously decided to go for an IPO is to find an investment banker or a conglomerate of investment banks that will act as underwriters on behalf of the IPO offering company. Moreover, the company also needs to hire legal experts that would guide it for various legal matters relating to the IPO. At the beginning, the registrar to the issue also needs to be appointed. So we understand that the IPO making company will require entering into various agreements so as to appoint set of intermediaries that would include a lead manager, syndicate of investment banks, the registrar, and the lawyers. After doing all this, the IPO issuing company also needs to prepare its detailed financial records and keep them ready to be provided to the market regulator when they may ask them for that. Before we move to the next step in IPO process, we must have understood what's underwriting. Right? Underwriting is the process through which an intermediary undertakes to sell public issue of a company to the prospective investors in the market. For underwriting, the company can have 3 options to choose from. These are firm commitment, best efforts agreement, and the syndicate of underwriters. Under firm commitment, the underwriter purchases the whole offer and resells the shares to the investing public. In case of best efforts agreement, the underwriter does not guarantee the amount they will raise for the issuing company. It simply undertakes to sell the securities to the prospective investors on behalf of the company in the market. Now, under syndicate of underwriters, one of the multiple managers or underwriters is selected as the lead, which then forms a syndicate of underwriters by forming strategic alliances with other banks. Then each of the banks agrees to sell a part of the IPO. At the first stage, the company is done with the job of engaging with main intermediaries and working out underwriting agreements for the issue. Now, let's move to the second step. The second stage involved in the IPO is drafting of the offer document or the prospects. Now you may be wondering to understand what's that. To address your query, it can be said that an offer document or what's popularly known as prospectus is a document which a company floats in the market to invite general public for subscribing to the capital offer or IPO. On the screen, you can see 2 examples of the final version of offer documents that were recently floated by 2 IPO making companies in India. One of these is Coffee Day, that did its IPO in the year 2015. On the bottom space of these documents, you can easily figure out that name of various intermediaries are given. For example, in case of Coffee Day prospects, names of Kotak Bank, Citibank, Morgan Stanley, and Axis Bank, etc., can be found as its conglomerate of investment bankers. You can also see link time listed as registrar to the issue. Now we need to know an important thing, and that is when IPO is made on fixed price, the offer document is called simply the prospects. But when IPO is made through book building route, then it has a different name, and that is red herring prospectus. Now, another question that's worth seeking an answer is why this name red herring? You may be surprised to know that the name red herring basically relates to a kind of a fish. There is a great story linked to the word red herring. Let's listen to that. The word red herring is believed to be associated with an old method of training dogs for fox hunting. When these dogs were trained, the goal was to train them to follow the smell of the fox, even if the dogs encountered other smells that would have been potentially distracting. So what these dog trainers did is that they let the fox go so that the fox leaves a scent or smell trail. Then, before letting the dogs go, they would drag a bunch of smelly red herrings across the fox's trail. Then they would release the dogs. When the dogs hit the red herring trail, they will be distracted by the smell, and some of them will be inclined to follow the red herring trail instead. So the trainers tried to get the dogs to stay on the fox trail and train them to resist the urge to follow the herring. This is how red herring word has been originated, right? Today, red herring word is used in many contexts, particularly when we mean something misleading. But what did we get from this story? The story reveals that the red herring is used to indicate a clue or piece of information which is or is intended to be misleading or distracting. So that's what red herring is. Probably we have this name attached to the IPO offer document to convey to the prospective investors that they should not wholly or solely rely only on the offer document alone to make their investment decision, but they should consider other important things concerning a potential IPO as well. Before we move further, it's important to go through different stages of the offer document. During the overall process of IPO, the offer document moves through four different stages. At each stage, in order to make a distinction, the title of the offer document undergoes some change. For example, at the beginning, it's called draft offer document because it has not yet been approved by the market regulator, that's SEBI in the given case. The draft offer document is prepared by the issuer company and the book running lead manager, BRLM, or simply the lead manager of the public issue. This draft offer document is then submitted to the market regulator, that's SEBI, for review. After reviewing the draft prospects, the market regulator may either ask lead manager to make changes in it or else it may approve it, signaling the IPO making company to go ahead with IPO processing. Once the draft offer document is cleared by SEBI, it becomes the offer document. That is, draft word is now removed from the title. This offer document is then submitted to the registrar of the issue and the stock exchanges where issuer company might be willing to get listed. The third stage arrives when document turns into the red herring prospects. This happens when offer document gets clearance from stock exchange. Right? At this time, the issuer company with the help of lead manager can add issue size and floor price or price band of the issue to the document and make it available to the public through syndicate members and by hosting it at websites of SEBI, stock exchange, and different intermediaries involved in the IPO. The fourth stage in the life cycle of the offer document is when issue is closed and offer document is modified again to include the final issue price. Then red herring prospects then red herring prospects is called final prospects. Now, if you wish to examine these offer documents that companies in India might have filed in the past, you can visit SEBI website to access the same. On this website, you can find a huge list of such offer documents that were filed by the companies over the last 15 years. Now, these are some of the IPOs that were successfully offered in India's capital market very recently. The September month of 2020 witnessed highest number of IPOs. About a dozen number of IPOs were floated during this period alone. Next stage in IPO process is promotion and marketing, which is done through organizing of different road shows. Right? Once the prospectus is ready, underwriters and company officials go on countrywide road shows, visiting major trade hubs to promote the IPO among select few private players. During this stage, usually corporates or high net worth individuals are targeted by feeding them with detailed information regarding companies' future plans and growth potential. These roadshows are conducted to get a feel of investor response and to persuade investors for participation in the IPO. During these roadshows, the issuing company, through its intermediaries, also tries to grab attention of electronic and print media to seek publicity of their IPO among the general public. Next, we have stage fourth. This stage involves an important decision that is to be taken by the issuing company. The decision is about as to what should be the issue date, issue size, and issue price or price band for the IPO. In other words, when should the IPO open and what should be the number of shares to be offered. The issuing company takes this decision with the help of lead manager. When an issuer company decides all these things, then the offer document or prospectus is modified to include these details so that it can be circulated in the market well before an IPO is made open. If prospects mentions price band, then it's indicative of the fact that the offer is being priced following book building route. Otherwise, a prospectus may contain an issue price directly, in which case offer is understood to be priced following fixed price route. Then we are at the stage fifth. This stage involves opening of the issue to the public either for bidding in case the offer is through book building or else for direct subscription if offer is made following fixed price method. To understand what happens during this stage, let's assume that offer is made through book building route. If that is the case, then once the issue opens, investors initiate subscribing to the issue by filling up bid application forms for placing them with designated syndicate members of the issue. Following this, syndicate members provide the two prominent stock exchanges, that is Mumbai Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange, with bidding information electronically so that bidding stats gets updated at these stock exchanges websites, right? They also send all the physically filled forms and checks to the registrar of the issue. When an IPO is open, investors can revise their bids by filling bid revision forms and submitting them to the syndicate members, and syndicate members in turn would keep on updating stock exchanges with the latest data. Then the public issue closes for subscription. As per law, subscription for a public issue should be kept open for at least 3 working days and not more than 10 working days. However, in case of book building, issue open time is 3 to 7 working days, which is extendable by 3 days in case of a revision in the price band is made by the issuing company. Finally, post closure of issue, lead manager on the basis of bids received decides the final issue price. The lead manager then updates the red herring prospects with the final price and sends it to SEBI and stock exchange for further approval. Now we are in the sixth stage of IPO process. This stage involves processing and completion of the share allotments to the eligible applicants and refunds to the others whose bid applications could not be accepted. By this time, the registrar receives all the application forms and checks from syndicate members. Then they feed applicant data and additional bidding information on their computer systems. After this, checks are sent for clearance and bogus applications are identified. Then registrar prepares and publishes the basis of allotment document. The basis of allotment is a document that is published by the registrar of an IPO to stock exchanges and IPO investors. This document provides information about final price fixed for an IPO issue, subscription or bidding information, or demand of an IPO and share allocation ratio. The ratio of allotment becomes critical information when IPOs are oversubscribed. Following all this, shares are transferred in the demat accounts of eligible investors and refund of money through checks or electronic clearing systems or ASBA cancellations is initiated in case of those investors who are made no allotments. Then comes the final stage of the IPO process, and that is listing. The listing of shares happens on any working day within 3 weeks after the closure of IPO done through book building. In case of IPOs through fixed price, listing is done within 37 days after closure of the issue. The date of listing is decided by the lead managers in consultation with the concerned stock exchanges where listing would have been sought by the issuing company. Right? The listing occasion is full of festivity for all. It's a moment when shares of a company are admitted on the stock exchange for trade. On listing day, the ability and fairness of lead managers is tested to decide how diligent and unbiased they had been in fixing the issue price. It's a day when talent and hard work of promoters is recognized. It's also an occasion of value redemption for many shareholders that would have long kept their relation with the company as it grew over time. It's also a day when investors that just bought shares in the IPO wait to see how market would value their shares that they hold. Hence, there's a lot of excitement all around. So this brings to an end our discussion on understanding the primary market, or more specifically, process of initial public offer or IPO. Now is the time to let you know who are the man and his company of our today's story on IPO. Well, the answer is hidden in a short video clip that will play now on your screen. Let's watch this clip and find it out. right?
Well, I think we're all nervous because it's such an exciting event.
I think a lot of people were waiting for today.
Just the beginning, which is actually the amazing part of it.
Good morning. It's a very historic day, boss. Just to begin, we have probably about 350 reporters outside. They may be yelling, they may be screaming. This is just part of it.
In terms of the opening of the stock, very exciting, although it feels like a long time, it'll go by very quickly.
Jack will ring the bell, and then
15 years ago, Joe and I came to USA. We were rejected by the 30 venture capitalists. Nobody believed I would be here. 15 years ago, nobody believed we can finish 300 billion transactions. And we are lucky. Our team made things happen. Without my team, this thing will never happen.
Opens at 92.70.
Sail away. Do it.
What we raised today is not money. It's the trust. It's the responsibilities that we have. You can help millions of small business and create millions and millions of jobs. Small is powerful. Small is beautiful. Thank you very, very much.